I'm going to talk about the blues in E. Today we're doing a basic 12 bar with the turnarounds at the 12th measure. And I'm going to do a series of videos that approach different aspects of not only comping but soloing as well. So first of all, I'd like to talk about chords a little bit. Naturally, I would imagine that most of you know your E chord down here. Now, this E chord, I've got my 7th there underneath my baby finger. This is important to know these numbers because these are color tones when it comes to soloing. So try not to divorce your chord playing from your soloing. Be aware of the sounds within the chord. So there's my 7th. If that's my 7th, this is going to be my 6th. It's a great sound. It's really useful. So we've got a E major triad. We add the 7th, and we back off one semitone to make that a 6th. The same idea is going to apply to an A7 chord. You may play an A7 like this. Now, in this case, the 7th is on my 3rd string, so I can't really go back a semitone to make it a 6th. I can, however, move to this voicing here, and now I've got my 7th, the G, up on top. And now if I move that back a semitone, I've got a 6th. That 6th sound was really popular back in the 50s. If you listen to someone like Stevie Ray Vaughan, for instance, he makes great use of that 6th. And remember that a 6th, if there chordally speaking, if there's a 7th, a flat 7th below the 6th. That makes the 6th a 13. You know, they're just an octave apart. So the relationship between a 6 and a 13 is very close. And then a B7 chord. Right. And your A is the 7th of the chord. We're not going to do a 6th here and here. You can use this 7th as well, and this 7th form, just like we had with A, would be a B7, and we could do a B6 as well. Okay. Now, those are just basic open position chords that you should be comfortable with, and with a couple of colors. Let's move to the middle region of the fretboard. Here is an E7. It's just like a C chord, right, shape. We move that. Here's my root, or I could look at the root this way, an octave lower. And there's my E7 chord, and I can also put the 5th in the bass, which works sort of nicely. And there's some neat stuff that can happen with this 7th chord. Let's take a look at a 6th, adding a 6th. We could do this. Right, there's a 6th. That. Yeah, I don't personally use that a whole bunch, but the 13 I use a lot, and to make that 6 a 13, I move the root, which is here, down to the 7th, and now that is a great sound. I use that, quite a bit, and also with this 7th chord. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's my 9. we add the 13, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There's a nice E13, a nice E9, or you can do abbreviations of that. Take away the root, go back to the 7th, and we have a 13 chord, so E13, E7, E9, E13, E6. All of those are usable and valuable. Then let's move to the A7. And this, we have the root, the flat 7, the 3, and the 5. Nice balanced chord sound. You know, it's not like a bar chord where we're repeating notes. Like in this bar chord, for instance, we'd have 2/5, and we have two roots, and that sort of is a little bit overbearing for the flat 7 and the 3. So these sort of the flat 7 and the 3 sort of get buried in those roots and fifths. So this is a much more balanced chord voicing. All right, and with this chord voicing, how about we add the 13? 1, I'm counting through Mixolydian modes because these chords are derived from Mixolydian. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So there's my 13, and I'm going to take this chord and I'm going to put the 13 on top. I can just remove the root altogether and do an abbreviated 13 like this. When I move to the E9, to the 13, right, so that's a nice 13. Here's a nice 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, root 7, 9, 5. That's a nice one. And very closely related, you know, to this 7th. If this is new for you, this 7th form, learn it. And the 13, right, and we can do it with abbreviation, and then the root on top, and we can add the 9 on top too, right? And so I should just take a pause here and say it's really important for you to have the scales that the chords are related to underneath the chord. So here I have my E7, and underneath my E7 I have the Mixolydian mode, right? And that helps me to count through to the chord tones that I want to express within my chord. And the same will go for, you know, this. Here's my Mixolydian mode. A Mixolydian mode always has a flat 7 in it, right? There's my flat 7. There's my flat 7. Another way to look at a Mixolydian mode is it is a major scale with a flat 7. That's nice and easy. So if you know your major scale flat the 7th, 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 major scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 flat 7 Mixolydian mode. Okay, and then we can just move this A7 up to the B flat 7, do the same variations again, or the same colors. When we talk about notes like 9ths and 13ths, what we're really doing is we're taking the foundational aspects of the chord, meaning the 1, 3, 5, and flat 7. And we don't even need the root in that chord. We don't really need nor do we need the 5th. We can get it all the way down to a tritone, meaning these two notes, the 3rd and the 7th of the E7 chord, are a tritone apart. And that tritone really defines the chord. The same would go for finding the tritone, locating it in A. And then back to that E, B7, same tritone, it's inverting itself. And okay, good. So region down here, we had these chord forms, the sort of the basic chord forms, and then moving to the middle region of the fretboard, which I always look at the fretboard as, I sort of think from the middle and then out this way and back that way. So it's a little more complicated to be thinking from open position and then up, and open position and up. So get used to thinking in your middle position. Now, naturally, with the E7, I can take that E7 and I can move that, that form up. I can abbreviate it. So how about I abbreviate it? So here's a root, 3, 5, and a 7. Right, and these little short chords can be really, really handy, especially when you're in a soloing context. I think what I'm getting at here is developing chord sounds and beginning to feel comfortable in different regions of the fretboard, right? And use those 6s, those 9s, and those 13s. And then just comp through a track like this. I got this track from, they call it Guitar Improvisation. It goes all the way back to 11 years ago. But it's a decent track and it's fun to play along with. So here, if you're going to comp here, let me just go try a pass with some of these ideas. Let's move up. Nine. E9. B7. 13. 7. And 13. Get the idea. So I'm sort of thinking about moving around the neck, and I'm comping, throwing in a couple of fills here and there, but I'm trying to emphasize those colors and how effective those colors are. This starts to blur the lines between comping and soloing. And that's what you want to do. You don't want to just like, now I'm playing chords and now I'm going to launch into my 100-mile-an-hour scale playing. That's not really nearly as effective as always knowing where you are in the tonal platform. And what I mean by the tonal platform is I'm playing over E, and here I'm playing over an A, and I move back to the E. So you're always defining the chords, and so if you're hearing the chords and aware of where you are, always aware of where you are in the form, then you can define those chords. And especially when you've got something like this, you've got four full measures of the same chord. So you're going to have to come up with some, neat ideas to make that interesting. And so think of notes not as one scale. I'm going to talk about pentatonic scales and the blues scales in this series too. Try to think in terms of where you are in the chord and add colors like 13s and 9s against and 6ths against the chord. I'll link up this backing track in the description and you can try it out for yourself. This kind of approach rather than just taking a backing track, a blues and E, and just playing it as you always do with the same licks and everything. Try to avoid doing that. What you should do is set out parameters. I'm going to learn how to comp with colors in the middle of the fretboard. I'm going to work on short chords in the 12th fret region, in the octave region. I'm going to work on some lines that spell out chords in the open position, right? That's the way to think within these parameters, so you get the most out of your practice time. Time is valuable. Please like and subscribe. You know, you've heard this 100 times before, not so much from me. I keep forgetting to say this, but it really does help. And most of all, it helps me to know that I'm doing something that's of value, or not. So leave a comment. That also really helps and makes me feel like I'm not just looking at a screen and four walls. Okay, thanks a lot, and have a good day. Take care of yourself, and we'll see you soon.